I'm very grateful that you've given me the chance to actually be in conversation with each person here. I'm really grateful. I was born in Benin, so it's really nice to be in the midst of what I would call elders present in this contemporary Benin City right now. We were talking earlier, and I said maybe we should look into the concept of what a family is. Um, Growing up, I was given this idea by tradition, by religion, by all like the tenets, any kind of structure that man, woman, children. But growing up, I just realized that it doesn't work for me. It like that concept, that idea of a traditional family, head, neck, tail, or whatever, like it just doesn't work for me. And going into it and looking into even my immediate family and looking into other people, I realized that most families, the women are carrying the family. They're the breadwinners. They are they are the engine of this family. So at what point, and I have actually made my research and I realized that if you actually start going back in time, you will see that there was a time where the man and the woman traditionally in our culture were equal. So where did it change?
Yeah, big question. Okay. Change now, as in how it became all total woman, or change as in togetherness for sustenance and survival of a home, or change as in the woman bears all the costs. So I need to be clear on that.
So change as the man being the head of the family, whether be through religion. If you look into Christianity, for a long time the woman could not climb the altar. If you look into Islam, the same thing is there. If you look into, but then it's funny, if you look into our traditional culture and you look into any monarch, I'm not pointing at any monarch, look into any monarch, you'd realize that the head is always the man. But then if you go back and look into our system and look into, because the real tradition is the worship of our deities. If you go back into the worship of our deities, you see that they've always been equal, men and women, priests and priestesses. But when we look into the power structure,
No, but there's still variance. In most cases, most of the princes have an edge over the princess. Even as far as the Roman Empire, in Benin, in Nation, wherever you look at it, they are on the same pedestal that are good. But most cases, the princess don't have an edge as the prince. How many princes go to war in those days?
a lot.
You can't compared to the prince.
If I may come in now, briefly, can I come in?
Yes.
If you check from history, the woman has always had a place in history. I want to address the word you use, change. Where did it change? The woman has always had a place in history, in tradition, in culture, religion and culture. Let's not go to ethnicity and all that, because these two will almost answer what we are going to talk about now, as in the topic you want us to talk about right now. There is no idol worship from history, Bible, traditional, that the woman never had a place. Okay? Then if you come to marriages, a marriage is not complete without the woman, the mother of the child, be it male or female. Because if you go for a traditional marriage now, and you say you want to get married, the father will sit down, do everything, but the main person you are going to see, it will tell you the mama de backyard.
But why? That's not my question. Why na backyard? Whereas they carry the woman, put for the father lap 7 times.
7 times.
Yes,
Good.
yes.
Now.
I'm questioning that.
Yes, now. That aspect you are looking at, when I use that word backyard, let me put it in quote. It will not be like backyard.
I know.
Like that.
I know.
The woman will call her own parents, who are mothers, and say, my daughter is getting married today. Please make her beautiful for me.
Yes.
So they are in the back room. Let me use back room.
You make
Yes.
dressing.
Doing everything.
Yes.
Then she is there and presenting
Yes.
the child
Yes.
before the father.
Yes. But
Okay.
But what I'm very happy that we actually are using. We just went into marriage.
Yes.
Now, I have never, let's say Benin, I've never seen a case of a mother saying this marriage not going to happen.
It happens.
No, I'm not saying it doesn't happen.
Go ahead.
But I'll tell you that most times when the man says, I do not give my blessing, that marriage can't happen. When the woman says, I do not give my blessing, the marriage still they happen.
But I think
It's
that's
a-
still-
it's
that's
a-
still,
it's,
that's still based on probably what your experiences have been.
Yes.
And what some people's experiences have been. Because really, I've seen situations where when the man puts his foot down, the child still gets married.
Yes.
It's a taboo to some extent among those cultures and whatever.
It is a taboo I'm talking about.
Exactly, yeah. But I think you have to understand also that this idea of superiority or inferiority of the sexes is a made-up concept. Because in most cases, what you find is cultures over time. I don't know if I should. Culture is such a generic term. But I think our attitudes over time tend to follow certain major trends that come and eventually will pass.
We pass, yes.
You understand? So you have a situation where, for example, culture will tell you 500 years ago, or you would read about the culture 500 years ago and find out that the woman was the head of that clan.
Yes.
Or that place.
That's what I was
Yeah.
pointing out, yes.
But over time, and you made a point earlier, you mentioned something. You said you will not go into the issue of foreigners coming over. But that is an issue that you must look at.
Yes, I know, but I was talking more about the trauma. But if we're
Okay,
talking
about the
about,
trauma. Fair
yes,
enough,
but
yeah.
definitely,
And the trauma comes out of that experience.
yes. But if we're talking about the family structure, because I was going to go there.
Yeah.
If we're talking about tradition and culture as we know it, I know for a fact that, for instance, the idea of holding a family name just started like 19th century. Most people don't know this, that, the reason why we are holding our family names is so that we could be identified, each family could be identified, knowing the number so that they know whose family has more strength.
Where you are from.
Yes.
Even your lineage.
No,
Your
like
lineage.
mostly
Mostly,
it's so that they know who to kill. Like if they know that this family has 50 men, it means that this family can cause
In
an
time of
upset.
war.
So they will target that family. So it was for easy target. That's why we now carry this thing, that the reason why I carry Omonhinmin. But before then, you would answer your father's name directly. Everybody will answer his father's name directly. But that has changed. But I've seen the situations where somebody decided to answer their father's name and the family made a case over it. And I was like, but this culture that you people are talking about is a new culture. And this is what I'm
I
talking
get your
about.
point.
Yes.
And that new culture is also, I mean, one of the, I consider it one of the attitudes or one of the changes that take place over time. And the fact that you're aligning it shows that there are those within these same communities or these same societies who understand that these are not the set rules.
They are not set rules.
They are dynamic. You understand? You mentioned something
okay.
about
You
the
know
family,
that,
marriage, when they bring the girl,
what
the
you call it
mother
called?
is behind and all that. I think you cannot take it away from the role that also a more dominant culture has imposed on you to some extent. Because for one, there's something, let me just deviate a bit. We talk now about a girl who wears miniskirt and they say, how girls will they dress like this? How girls will wear this kind of thing come out? We forget that the time we're coming from, clothes were very minimal.
Yes.
Very, very.
You understand? And we could walk past young girls without bras, bare-breasted,
Right.
and not be moved by it, accept it as a...
There are still cultures like that.
We have to find where these transformations took place and how they happened. And it's not inherent to just African culture.
No.
It's not. You understand? And I think we are only showing those traits now because we are evolving. We will evolve out of that because with clearer perspective, clearer understanding of history, we would realize that some of these cultures are imported, or some of these trends are imposed.
Imposed.
You understand?
But they are in us.
Are
But
they really
it is
in us?
evolving. No, they are evolving. Because now you find out that we're just hinging on one particular topic now, as it regards marriage, why seclusion, woman, da. Okay, but it's evolving. You find out now that you find more women in churches these days. Basically, churches. How many men do you count? How many men do you count in churches?
The most senior, but the follower.
But where do you find most segregation?
But
where you find most segregation is even in the Muslim religion.
Yeah. No, let's not even go there. Let's not even go there. The follower and the head are completely different, right? Because if you look at Christianity today, the most senior female position held in the church is held by Benson Idaosa. And when you look at it, it was given to her by her husband. It still took a man to open that position for her. And no other woman has been able to take that same position.
No.
This, what's it called? Spirit and life.
Eunice.
No, but then I'm talking about if you look at dioceses worldwide, if you look at the ranking of the Christian ranking, because when they are ranking it, they don't look at Catholic and anything anymore. They rank it.
Together.
She is the only person
that
has attained, and it was because of her husband.
No, are we asking why that is, or are we?
I am saying, when do men take responsibility? Men take responsibility for the way society has been structured, because I personally think that men have designed the society that we live today to make it comfortable for the man.
Yeah, but
I can't get
Let me come in. Let me come in. Starting from the marriage and all these things, the whole thing started when the man realized that, when men realized that like what you're having now, women are saying, what's it called again? Women emancipation and all that. You know, it was thought of. Yes, we need to now start taking. We need to dominate this sex. You understand? So it started when documentation started. When we started documenting history, we started documenting culture. You understand? So that going forward, people will say this is what it is. It was when documentation started.
But if you look at documentation,
documentation actually started
a long time ago
in the North Africa before it came down to
no. Documentation started
if you talk about hieroglyphics and all those things. We have way.
But even beyond that, like even in the continent, documentation. Even if you look at the Egyptian documentation, that the popular African references, it's like older than most documentation you can find.
It's true.
But beyond that, I like to use things that are not too far. Women were just allowed not too long ago to start writing. When you look at like authors, for a long time in history, the women who could write were women who were, I would say, quote unquote, sex workers, who had very rich and very affluent men as their customers. And when they write a book, it was published in a man's name. Not it. We're talking about we're talking about not too long ago here that a woman could put her name on a book and publish and say, I wrote that. If you look at movies,
Yeah, but
like
you're talking of more contemporary culture, right?
no, but that's what I'm asking.
Because if you, I can bet you that if you were to go back,
But that's not contemporary because we're talking about beyond 18th century.
Okay, well, I'll count it as
18th century.
contemporary.
And back.
I will count it as contemporary.
Yes.
Okay, yes.
But what I'm saying is, we can't. I mean, you ask a question. You say, when should men start taking responsibility?
No, I don't understand.
I think-
I get confused.
that's-
Should I explain more?
Explain more.
Okay.
Responsibility of what?
Okay, so
Of the home?
I would ask a question. Right? I'll ask a question.
Of what? Responsibility of what? We just define what we're trying to say. Let me get it clearly.
Who gave man this ultimate idea that the man is the head?
Let me tell you.
Okay.
Let me tell you simply what I think.
Okay.
I think this whole concept of man's superiority
Yes.
over woman.
But are we agreeing? Let me ask a question. I'm not saying personally, but are we agreeing that this is how our society operates?
Every society.
Yes, of course.
No.
We're not that.
No,
We
no,
agree.
every society.
Okay, we agree on that. Yes,
Okay.
Man
that
is
one
there.
that one is setting. That one is
Okay.
setting.
I think
All
what
right.
we're trying
Whether
to do now
African,
is understand.
Yes.
European.
Yeah, me, I don't care about Europe. I'm just saying, let's agree.
Yes.
We've agreed on
Yes.
that already.
Yeah, but I mean,
So we can go back.
taking
Are we free to
responsibility, I think.
do this on there?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, no. We can be free. We can be free.
Come on, get
You are free. You are free. All
to do what?
sexes
Smoke.
should take responsibility because
That's free documentation.
the submission and the imposition are both actions.
Yes.
Right? And so, whether you like it or not, the willingness to submit is also an issue. And in some instances where it is forced, right? In many instances, in history,
I would beg to say, in majority.
fair enough.
Yes.
Where it is forced,
Yes.
you can ascribe this responsibility more to the men. But I'll try to point out something. I think you know that we've evolved from an age where brawn is what holds society to an age where brain holds society.
Yes.
So for us to even be having this kind of discussion shows that we're evolving out of that.
A lot of people would not even believe that I can have this conversation
But
with
that's
you
strange. For me, as a person, it's strange.
because you think different.
Well, possibly strange.
Yes.
You understand? But for me, I mean, I grew up trained by a single mother. Right?
Yeah.
She got married eventually, but she was like the force behind me.
Yes.
So it would be hard for me to accept that notion that where I sit, a woman will sit behind, or my daughter would have to do things differently from my son, or if my daughter decides to make a decision on something,
She can't speak because
she
the
can't
son is
speak
there.
until a man speaks on that.
Yes.
To add to that, right, statistics have actually shown that men raised by single mothers have a hard time accepting this patriarchy
That women
and
are
misogynist.
inferior.
Yes,
So,
yes.
Yeah, maybe I'm a statistic.
I would say myself like that.
I'm a statistic in that regard.
Even that statistic, to go further, also shows that men who were raised by single mothers find it hard to abuse.
Fair enough. Now,
Women.
so let me
You
point
saw
that.
peace.
So that's a good point.
Yes.
So what I pick from that, or what I would infer from that, is simple. We have tasted the sweet fruit. of what it should be. And so we have a better perspective of the relationship dynamics between men and women. You understand? I'm sorry, my own personal opinion. I mean, you're asking our opinions.
Yes.
I'll tell you my opinion is that this idea of man's superiority is a farce.
It's actually.
It's a complete farce, because let me give you a simple example. There are situations where a man sits at home, shouts all the orders, instructs, demands, imposes. But the minute the woman is not in that house, the man is as weak as a baby.
Yes.
He can't do anything for himself.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
So the idea that men take responsibility, fair enough, is good. But I feel that idea of take sense of responsibility is also accepting that a man has done that based on some kind of divine or some kind of power that was given to him to do. It is simple. It was simply because at that point, from where we're coming, the kind of life man grew up, a human being, that when I say man, I'm talking about generic being. It's simply because we evolved in an environment where brawn was
And that has been in man.
and that's where this term, the weaker sex
came
but
from.
we've evolved. The idea of weaker sex, I'm sorry, let me
Yes,
just
Doesn't
say,
exist
the
anymore.
idea of weaker sex,
Yeah.
the idea of weaker sex goes beyond physical strength.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
So are you going to tell me that a lady who has the mental capacity, and I'm not picking ladies out here, I'm saying
Strive.
an individual
Yes.
who has the power to
Mentally.
change things mentally is not stronger than the one who uses only bare force?
That's right.
It's fantastic to hear this. I would jump into that. So we're talking about brawn and brain. And do you believe in mental strength?
Oh yes,
Of course,
Okay.
of course.
So do you believe that
Come on,
your
it's-
mental strength can actually inform your physical strength?
That
To
is
some
very
extent,
challenging.
it's a
Some
club.
extent.
I'm
Yes,
coming
some
somewhere.
extent.
I'm
Yeah,
coming
go
somewhere.
on, go on it.
I'm coming somewhere. Okay, good. So now it is actually believed that we actually build men to be machines.
Exactly.
So if you have, I don't have a child, but I remember how I was raised. If I want to cry, no, don't cry. You're a man. Don't cry. Put your chest up. All of this. And the way we program ourselves, we as men are programmed to be very detached, very unemotional, not available emotionally.
Yes.
So when you look at it, at the end of the day, the only thing you have is this.
Physical strength.
Yes.
Let me tell you something someone told me once, and I've kept it in my head all that time. He says, at one point in his life, he was bodybuilding and doing all kinds of physical strength. And an old man was walking past and saw him and called him. He said, "My young man, I've been watching you here, building your muscles for the past how many years?" He said, "But let me advise you. The more you build this,
And you don't have this.
you neglect this.
It's weak.
It's best you build this.
Than
Because
build.
when you build this, it informs the way this works."
Straight away.
So there's a study that took young boys and young girls and switched them and trained the young girls like boys and trained the young boys as girls, and they turned out the same. The girls turned out very strong, very masculine, very driven, and the boys turned out very emotional.
Feminine.
I wouldn't say feminine, because I believe that we all have feminine and masculinity
Exactly.
inside
us.
us.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's what you build.
Yes.
What you build
So-
that comes out of it.
Yeah.
So when and this is the reason why I'm asking this
At least I'm
question.
going to jump into your mouth
Yes,
again. So
yes.
another thing, you just made another point that I think, I mean, it seems we're coming from the same perspective on this. On
It's
this
just an open forum. You want to.
the idea that we have so classified our actions and mental state into masculinity and femininity is also it's also a problem.
Big one.
Because we've assigned certain
Duties.
we've hidden certain abilities within the cloak of a particular sex, and we've given some to we've actually apportioned the responsibility that we all have within us.
Yes.
We've decided to lock some up. That's internal segregation.
Yes.
We've
To man.
decided to lock some within ourselves. I cry. Comes easy to me. If my daughter is upset and she's down and she's crying, I cry with her. It's strange. I know it's strange to some people when they see it.
But you are raising a very healthy child.
Well, you are saying that.
You are saying that, but who else will agree? Like yesterday, where were we going? I was going to check my friend's house I was building at Asemota. I said, when my kids, I have 3 girls. I treat them like my children. I don't know whether they are girls or they are boys. I accept it. I have 3 girls. Eldest one is 16, 7, and 9, 4. They got into a malaria fit. The little one, before their mom traveled. So do you know what the little one told me? No, sir. She said, "Mommy is traveling again. Daddy, you're going to be mommy. And daddy." He said, "But you are going to make your hair." I said, "No problem." Yesterday when we were driving, what did I tell you? I said, when my kids are down, I said, I feel so hot. I feel so pain. So this morning, they have cough after the malaria treatment. They are on antibiotics now. And I found out that the antibiotics, because of their age, it's kind of like, it's too high for them. So they have tummy pain. This morning, yesterday I bought a gualigo for them. I said, "What do you want to eat?" They said, "Oh, Daddy, buy a gualigo for us, I said, "No problem." I ordered the gualigo, gave to them. Leave 1 pack for this morning. This morning I said, "Okay, everybody is up. Have your bath, brush your teeth, take your medication." But the mistake I made was, they would have eaten before they took the medication. So when they took the medication before food, or like giving them constipation and pains, so they were like, "Daddy, my tummy is paining me, don't pain me." I said, "Sorry," but I was hot in there. I was about coming out, but I was hot in there, feeling their pain. That's what buttress what he's saying. These are girls. If it were to be a boy, I would say, "Come here, jump into the car, let's go." You understand?
Are you not a man? Why are you
Are you not a
behaving
man?
Why are you not
But
behaving like
it still will remain in our brain of that macho
Okay.
stuff. He has
He has a boy and a girl. I would say something.
He is even more in tune to make the girl stronger
So
than the boy.
So I'll say something.
Yes.
I'll say something. And I don't care what other people feel. I actually think you are raising a very healthy child.
Straight up.
A child should see vulnerability in their parents.
Straight.
And if you don't, there's a problem there. There's a lack.
Of course,
Yes.
there's a gap.
You were asking me the responsibility. And this is the responsibility I'm talking about. Correcting the things that it doesn't matter what everybody thinks, that you think is wrong within society. My friend has 2 kids, right? A boy and a girl. And when I come, everybody treats the boy different. Everybody treats the girl different. The girl is the eldest one, but they treat her like, yeah, you are a Barbie, yeah, this, and they play with the boy. When I come, I'm the best uncle. Do you know why? When I come, I slam the boy, I slam the girl. And the first time it happened, I saw it. The girl looked at me strange. Like, are we supposed to play like this? But she looked at her father, and her father was like, "Play." And I was slamming her, and every time I came to town, my relationship with her became better and better. And now
she cannot forget it.
Yeah, and now it's like when I'm around, she doesn't see the difference between herself and her brother.
Straight.
Only when I'm around.
Yes.
And this is the reason I'm saying, because they say the architect is the person who will correct the mistake.
Straight.
If you build a house and there are deformities,
The architect.
who would correct those things?
The architect.
So I'm saying, when women take responsibility, like he, for instance, he is taking responsibility in his house, but also the extension of that could be you visit a friend and you see them doing something. Not saying what you're doing is wrong, but you could do it this way.
Exactly.
Are we speaking to each other?
But do you know sometimes when you do that, what I found out, because this is an experience that I've had over time, when you do that, it seems to a lot of homes that you go to and try to do that.
As if you are bringing a culture.
You're trying to
Impose your new culture.
No. That there is a difference between the way your culture of children.
How dare you think
Yes.
that your way works better?
Yes.
See,
That's a Peter Igbinadion.
it has to do with whatever we're discussing now. It's quite unique and important because society has so put these limits on us, on how we interact, on how we do things. It all boils down to cultural dysfunctionality where there's a pattern way of behaving. You know, I have 4 kids. Among the 4 kids, you have these twins, a boy and a girl. I have one girl. But because they all grew up together, they play together. It now became a scenario where my little girl can no longer differentiate that masculine, feminine attributes. You understand? So the way she has been playing with her brothers has already altered how she relates with the girls outside.
Yes.
But she's going to grow up with the mindset that, oh, I grew up with boys. So this is how they act. And I should be able to understand that even though they have their own vulnerability and sensitivity, it is their own way of expressing their relevance in society. So it's a beauty when you are vulnerable. It's also a beauty when you're emotional. Being emotional, it sets you apart from the other animals, apart from man. It sets you apart because animals are not that too emotional. They don't have a space of being emotional. We can control our emotions. We can time our emotions.
Do you own a dog?
I have a dog, yeah.
Is that the only animal you have?
No. I trained a dog once in a while.
So I've trained a squirrel, I've trained a scorpion, I've trained a snake, I've trained a dog, I've trained rabbit, I've trained a lot of animals. And you know one thing they have?
Far more emotional than we are.
Far more emotional. Like, see, I trained my scorpion, right? If my scorpion hears my voice, it climbs me. In this Benin, when they had, remember when there was this popular scorpion jazz, everybody, my scorpion, they walk out all my body.
But don't forget, the emphasis was on train. You train.
But we are all trained. We are all programmed, eh?
See, you train. The scorpion was not programmed to show that emotion.
But within their world, they show that.
No, even though they show that, we say you train the scorpion to hear your voice. To
No,
react.
outside training.
No, but I'm saying,
Training, they are
If you didn't
natural.
have it within, it wouldn't
yes,
wouldn't have it.
yes, you can't bring, you can't put what is not there. Yes. So I actually feel, so my question now, coming back to, like I said, I'm using your case now. It's amazing. Because I was saying, when I'm sitting down in Lagos, right, and I'm sitting down with people from Benin, they're very specific now, and we're having this conversation. So, our people from Benin don't know what they do. I'm like, no, because when people look at me and they be like, oh, you are different, I'll be like, okay, yes, I am different. I'm not supposed to be the same as you.
Exactly.
But they'll be like, oh, you're not Nigerian. I'll be like, I'm a Benin.
I think that's a that thing. It's a very, you know, I'm hoping it's not only Nigeria we have this problem.
No,
People
it's
travel
not.
around.
It's
Yeah.
not.
It's
There's-
not.
That's why I'm saying
Because
there's a
There's
stereotype.
a transcontinental
Yes,
stereotype.
Beautiful
there is
word.
this
In
stereotype.
Africa mainly.
There's this no, not
No,
mainly.
no, 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 no.
Not mainly.
It's not only Africa.
No, transcontinental.
I'm
Are you
only
serious?
focused.
Yes.
I'm only focused.
Africa.
I'm only focused
No,
on
Benin,
I'm only
Nigeria now,
focused
because
on
of what we are discussing
the
here
African
now.
identity, the Nigerian. I'm only focused on African because to now look European,
No,
American,
no,
all
no.
those ones.
going to
Yeah,
be
but
too-
sorry, can I just chip
Yes.
in a few words there? I think you said when will we start taking responsibility? I think that has started long ago. Maybe it's coming in pockets.
Mhm.
But yes, just like you say, you found out a lot of people are taking responsibility, right? And we're taking responsibility not because I'm personally taking responsibility not because I feel that I'm doing something fantastic as a man, right? I'm only doing what a human being should do.
Exactly.
Let me
You
just
understand?
let me jump in. Let me just jump in that thing.
Sir?
My
I said,
sister called
I wanted
me.
to say
My
something.
sister called me some weeks ago. We're talking about something like this, and she said, "Esele, do you realize that our fathers in the 80s, 70s were absentees fathers? Fathers of those days go to work in the morning, come late in the night, come
Very
here and
human-like.
But it's changed now.
yeah, come somewhere. She said that, and she was like, it affected a lot of kids. Say a lot of us that grew up in that we see life in a certain
Different way.
She told me, she was like, please, I know you like to work, you like your work and everything, and you're trying to fend for your family. Please try not to be an absent father. You know, when she said that, I sat down. No, really, because once in a while, when women question us as guys, we are like, "What do you do this woman? What do you do this woman?" You know. But I realized that my wife has been talking about it. That you are looking, you think there's time. You think there's time. You see, before you know this, your first daughter should be off to school.
Yes. And we just
And
one now.
yes, and when she's off to school, to secondary school, she wants to go leave the house. She's thinking of how to go to university so that she can from there get married and go.
Yes.
See, that's how other kids, you know. So the whole idea is, as men, we should stop being detached from our home.
And another thing, this is how I take responsibility. And this is the reason why this conversation is beautiful. And I would really like that every time I come to Benin, I would really like to continue because there's so many things we should be talking about. Now, if I'm with a woman or my partner and we go to a restaurant, this thing I'm about to say, you would notice when they bring the bill, they put it in front of the man.
Yes.
For more than 10 years, I reject that. If you bring the bill and put it in front of me, I would ask you, the waiter, so are you forcing me to pay this bill? Are you assuming for us? Do you know who has the money here? I'm not saying there are some people who like certain, like the way it is.
No, it's corrective.
But you cannot.
It's corrective.
Yes.
But it's like a norm.
Yes.
No, can you
Yes.
change it?
Here.
Yes.
They had
Where
not.
you
They
go.
had not to
So you're
crack.
asking if we
A
can
lot of
change
men.
it.
A lot of
Take
men
time,
will
take
not
time.
allow their
Fine.
testosterone.
But you're talking to me.
Okay, bros.
Yes, you are an individual.
You're an individual.
Yeah, but I'm African.
Yes, you're
It
African.
takes
So
time.
even
We're all
if I don't believe I'm the only one. Like,
That's
like
why
I
he
just
said it
identified
takes
now.
time.
It should take time.
Yeah.
Because
It is not automatic.
First of all,
but the time is here.
first of all, in
But it's still
Africa,
going to be gradual.
first of all, in Africa, in Nigeria and in Benin, it is rare to see a woman taking a man out.
I did not say who's taking
no,
who out.
I'm coming from somewhere.
No.
It is rare. Most men take women out. I find it very difficult to see a girl in this Benin who just say, Peter, come. let me take you to Randeke or Esele.
It happens.
It happens.
One few million.
Few.
One, I use that word,
But it
1 in a
happens.
million.
Yes.
It happens.
It happens.
But I can tell you why.
Your wife can even tell you.
No, your wife is exceptional.
No, but
it's
I
already
can-
your wife.
but I
there's-
can tell you why.
There's no plus to that.
Okay.
Your wife is no plus. It's
Okay.
already your wife.
But I can
Okay.
tell you why. I can answer
I'll-
this
I'll
question.
allow you
Finish.
answer it. Let me
I'll
finish.
answer it.
So what I say now is that in our own society, this Benin, most boys fight again, take to their flat. Automatically the ball is being pushed to the boy. And most of the time we are talking of that they are already aware that these people coming in is the man that invites the woman. That doesn't mean that
Bill in front of the man.
Because of the set mind.
those are one of the reasons why
The set mind.
Yes.
those are one of the
Of
reasons
the
why I
waiter
told my
or
wife
the
out.
waitress.
Yes.
When I was dating my wife in Kaduna
In a different
years ago, we
atmosphere.
struggled to pay bill.
Even if you drop it there,
Those are one of
the
the reasons
woman
why I
will
single
take
her
it.
out.
Yes.
and sort it
Struggle to
out.
pay bill. So it is rare.
understand?
So it's
So
a tradition, it's a
our
system
culture,
that will need
to
time.
me, our culture is a very slow culture. Very, very slow.
So
If you
are
come
you
from
particularly talking about the culture in Benin or the culture in Edo State?
In
or
Nigeria, in Nigeria.
I always like when I want to I
Outside
don't
the
usually like to expand my discussion. I don't usually like to expand my discussion so that it doesn't get complicated. As I'm arguing Nigeria.
Yes.
Are you getting it? Nigeria.
Yes.
Because if you want to extend it to, it doesn't happen in Cotonou, we're going to get into mumbo jumbo arguments and all that. But as it obtains in Nigeria, as family, the man is as the head of the house.
The protector.
Are you getting it? The man is
We're going back.
We're
We're going back to the genesis of this conversation.
The topic should be addressed. The man is the head of the house. I will not use the word assumed.
That's the ascribed role.
It's ascribed as the head of the house. But now, the man will now look at the wife. You are a good woman. Go and represent me here.
Let me be ascribing you some of my roles.
Are you getting it? Then she takes it. When did we start having ministers as women?
So
When
so,
did we have yes?
So a lot of the time,
It's breaking down.
yes, I'm
Already the power of say, oh, this gender how do we use it then? Macho, I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man. That's notion. It's gradually breaking down.
yes, but
But
the real
because of the
question-
cultural,
but the true question is,
yes.
is it breaking down or are the women speaking out more? Because they're two
No,
different
To me,
things.
they are not even. To me,
I'm coming.
Education
You
has
will say
been-
women are speaking out more.
Yeah.
You say men is breaking down. Because see, speaking out more only means that women are putting themselves in positions where they can speak, and now they can speak. That doesn't mean it's breaking down. Then to go back to
Right.
this idea, like myself and him, for instance, do not believe in this. We believe in equality. We believe.
it's still.
I'm coming.
it depends on how you weigh the
Yes,
equality.
yes,
You
I'm
women
coming.
are
I'm
talking
coming
of.
there.
How
I
you
don't know
weigh
if
the
projected by
equality.
men.
Yes.
You said
The female you are talking of in Nigerian context, they are projected by men.
yeah? What?
Being projected by
It's
men.
the men.
Look at that of assembly. Look at that of senate.
The
Look at that father's name.
The ministers
Should
that
we,
you have.
should we
It's
go?
the
Should we
men.
go into politics?
No.
Okay, no. Because I want us to be clear so that we can stay.
No.
We
can
say
say
it.
But it's from
I
there.
We don't go
I'm
into
coming.
as far as it doesn't go into
I'm coming.
I'm
Partisan.
partisan.
No.
No
This-
party, no party B.
but the reason-
Just use this as a
Yeah.
as
So
an entity.
It's the men.
so let me
Look at our honorable members in
I'm
the House of
coming.
Rep, the
I'm
women.
coming.
Look at where they are coming from. Look at their father. Look at their mother.
I'm coming.
Look at their husband.
But-
They have been projected by the same men.
But I'm coming. This is the same. I made this reference already with the religion reference
How
I
many of the
made.
women will be willing to bring out their money for a free and fair election?
They are. See,
don't-
historically,
The religion. How many women do
historically,
you really have in the religion?
And they have their way.
They are not. But they are not up to 10.
Can I
No.
just...
this is fantastic.
Or in the church.
No, not the 10.
They are not up to
This
10.
But wait,
In the whole country.
can we
many women head
can we
churches?
allow like one person speak?
Okay,
Yes.
okay,
60 something.
Okay, can I point out something? At first, I do not agree in this belief that it's a culture that we have. I think we're only projecting this from a point of weakness. Whether you like
That
it or
point
not,
of-
for me,
No, let him
for me,
finish.
whether
Let
we
him
like it
finish.
or not, it's funny, but when you check it, anybody that tries to project his strength or their strength is weak is coming from a point of weakness. It is the same way nationalism emerges from getting an enemy that you can focus everyone's mind on.
Right.
It's the same thing.
It could be imaginary.
We build man's strength out of this belief that there is a weaker sex.
Yes.
That's where we build this thing out of. We build this thing out of this belief that, oh, I have to show that this is who I am and this is what I am. And when you do that, it's out of a point of fright and
Fear.
weakness. You understand? That's the way
Yes.
I see it.
So
If you talk about politics, I mean, for politics, you see, sometimes if you give people the opportunity, I mean, you open the space and say, look, close your eyes to whether you're seeing a woman or a man. Close your senses to the voice, whether it's subtle or it's husky
Firm.
or it's firm or whatever. Not even firm, husky or subtle. And ask yourself, what opinion sounds better to you? Right?
Choose.
You will find out that in a lot of instances, woman would be our president right now.
Beautiful.
You know why?
But again, sorry, to counter that now, you say it's not a cultural thing.
No, it's not a cultural thing. You know why?
I'm
If you say
coming.
it is
I'm
not
coming.
a cultural
Let me
thing.
use the right word.
Yes.
It is learned.
It is a learned behavior.
It is learned.
Beautiful.
Right?
So-
I'm-
But the
and-
culture is overwhelming.
Wait. Can we bring it in? See, this is it's
You are supposed to be the moderator, right?
yes. So it's amazing. It's amazing that we've gotten to this point. So we now know that this is a problem. This is a problem. But some of us feel like it's not. This is the culture that we find ourselves.
Do you know why it's a problem? Because I had experiences. I worked in the public sector for several years now. And I realized one thing, that the Benin society, you see, as primitive as it was 200 years ago.
I will not agree with you.
Wait.
No, sorry, finish.
Wait. So when they say primitive,
Let him say his
No,
opinion.
no, but
It's his opinion.
but wait. Okay.
Let him land.
Yeah, but before you continue, please.
Could I just
Before you
dispel that
continue.
creativity?
No, before you
I
continue.
used the wrong word.
No, you didn't use it. But let's wait. So, if possible, because the conversation has gotten to this interesting point now. You speak, then anyone who wants to
Counter.
respond, just signify, then we identify. So you go.
Okay, let me reiterate again. The Benin society has refused to be dynamic. I will cite some examples. Before I joined the banking sector, I used to think, oh, banking is all about the man and all that. Because right from childhood, I used to see, all I see is men in position of authority, men taking decisions. You go to the palace, it's usually the Oba that will take the decisions. The queen sits behind. Even the queen is ascribed roles specifically by the Oba to perform. Now, even my dad used to dish out orders. Don't use your initiative. If you use your initiative, it becomes a taboo when I don't agree. And the taboo, there's that particular taboo placing. Now, when I go to Lagos, and I realize that education, that society was miles ahead of my society that I came from. You could see women, young girls, taking up position of authority. They leverage more on education, on the girl child education. They are bridging the gap of the gender inequality and all that. And that has so much helped them in restructuring their society to ensure that everybody has a say. if you check the heads of corporate organizations, before you count the first 5 members of the board, you must have at least 2 ladies, and that is a plus. But for us here, the Edo society has so much be weakened to the extent that our women had to see an easy route to think that they want to bring their parents out of poverty, which now brought about prostitution, illegal migration, that has so much dented our image.
Yes.
This is a good way to end this, but I would just respond to it a little. Benin society is culturally, I'm actually citing it now as a global kingdom, right? It's one of the most advanced. Queen Asemota made certain decisions that that's the foundation of what Benin sits on today, and she was a woman. So if you look at it from that perspective, you see that at a point, this idea that we have, this thing that Benin is primitive, is wrong. That's what I'm saying. But are we men who have designed this thing, this operation, this entire operation? You know this. You've seen your father give orders. You've seen the palace. You've seen all of this. You've gone to Lagos. You've come back. Are you doing what you need to do to change it in your immediate environment?
Of course, yes.
I'm learning to put it to practice.
Yeah.
Of
So,
course, yes.
so I would say.
But please don't also for us.
I think it was very
You spoke about emotion. You spoke about emotion. I believe in a continuum philosophy, where yes, Emota made some historical decisions that changed the course of the Benin history, but have we been able to replicate?
I'm not talking about. I'm not
For
talking. I
example-
was just looking
for
in. I was just looking into a moment in time where a woman made a decision. I'm looking into a moment in time to show you how important it is.
Can I also chip in a little bit before we round up? Someone else
Yes.
said something? You live in Ghana, right?
Yes.
I'm sure you know a lot about the Ashanti history.
Yes.
Yes. And it's a
Asante
history-
Ewa.
Yes, the Ashanti history is largely built around the strength of
The
women.
Queen Mothers.
It's true, right? And then to shift a bit from that, I'm just trying to point to this idea that our culture is, this idea of holding and claiming a culture, particular culture, and saying it's our culture. The African society has been amongst the most dynamic on this level, right? I think we were probably the first to come out with varying hairstyles.
Yes.
We were the first to come out with tattoos.
Yes.
First.
We were the first to come out with women being able to walk boldly in their natural state
Without-
and be proud of it
Yes.
with grace, right? But look forward 500 years. We are now questioning those things.
Yes. How did
We are now
the
saying,
women
"Oh,
now
this is
how
not
did we
our
get there?
culture.
how did
This
these
is not our
women
culture."
now
I think-
stray?
I think it's at the point where we will, at some point, we must face that demon of
Stray.
an imposed culture, an imposed system,
System.
whether you like it or not. Because we started rejecting these same things that made us a dynamic people.
And accommodating them now.
And we are now countering those things, castigating them, rejecting them. I can't tell you where it started, but I can tell you at some point there was a shift in the thought process of our people. I don't know at what point that happened, but it happened at some point. Now, to round up, for me, this idea of male superiority, right? I think it is one of the major damages that we've done to ourselves,
Culturally.
whether we like it or not. Because as we sit here, we're only 8 guys here. And if we were to build this place with just 8 strength and neglect maybe 15 women who are sitting that we're not going to
It
get
won't
very
work.
far. When you realize that human beings are human beings, and you
Everybody's equal.
accept that everyone has the mental capacity to contribute to your growth or the advancement within that
Yes.
community, I think that at that point we start understanding that. But you're doing your own part to bring this thing to the world. Are there enough people who think like this? I think that's where you start from.
Yeah, so Tupac said, I might not be the change, but I would ignite the fire that might be the change. So for me, I think it's about the work that we're doing individually. And now that I know this group, I come to Benin. The next time I'm coming, I will come with topics.
Okay.
You know, this was an impromptu session.
Yes.
I will come with topics, and
No,
before
we're still ready.
before I come, I will send the
Right.
topic so that we can have our thoughts.
Yes,
You know.
yeah, that one I'm saying.
So, but I would say I enjoyed having this conversation, and I want to say thank you very much.
Why the choice of a white?
I carry different beads. I carry different jewelries. I'm creating my own ancestral beads for my generation. So I'm putting energy in different